Okay, hi Erin. It's been a while since I've talked to you, I guess. I don't even know if you even really remember me, but that's okay, that's beside the point. So you were talking about, people reading books, and, you wanted to know more about your viewers. So I decided to make a video response. I need to quit looking at myself on the computer. I always do that. Yeah. Well, I, for one, read a lot, and I get it all the time when I'm at school. People are always like, I wouldn't really expect you to be someone who would read, and I'm like, well, it's one of my passions in life, I guess you could say, along with art. So, if I'm not doing school, working on art, or hanging out with friends, boyfriend, whatever, I am reading a book. I find that it helps me to, I don't know, get away from things, and I love, going into, another world. And I actually read many books at one time, usually, because whenever I go to the mall, let's face it, I probably buy about 10 books per visit to the bookstore. I am a pretty big nerd, but I'm okay with that. So, I guess I'll let you in on some of the books I'm reading for the time being, I guess. And the first one is Valiant. It's by Holly Black. It's actually a really good book. It has fairies and everything, and it's actually the second book to a book called Tith. And the first book was good. This one's, I'm still sort of in the beginning process of it, I guess. But it's really good, and I really love the author. So everything she writes is usually pretty good. So, first book. You're probably gonna be like, oh my god, look how many books this girl is reading at once. How can she keep up with them all? It's actually kind of funny with that. I'm reading another book called Identical by Ellen Hopkins. I've actually already read 2 of her other books. One was Crank, and the other one was Glass. And Crank was her first book, and it was about her experiences with her daughter and her daughter doing drugs. And Glass was a sequel to it. This is a completely different one. Starts with 2 new characters, they're sisters, and identical, they're twins, so I can't wait to actually get more into this book. I'm excited for that. I am reading also, ignore the phone, is it The Mediator or Mediator or something? I'm not really exactly sure, but it's by Meg Cabot, as you can see. And I'm on the second book. I think there's 6. I'm not exactly sure how many books. There's a lot. But it's actually pretty good, and this girl, she can see ghosts, and it messes up her life sometimes. But she, gets through it, so it's a pretty good book, I guess. The first one was my favorite. It's taken me a while to actually get into the second book. I'm reading Vampire Kisses 3 by Ellen Schreiber. I've read the other 2, so I'm not one of those people who just jumps into a third book out of nowhere. The first book was actually my favorite. The second dragged on a little bit, and I just got into the first or second chapter of this book not too long ago. And it's actually pretty good already. I'm actually a very big, supernatural person. I love the vampires, the ghosts, all of that kind of stuff. But I also like reading books that, I don't know, make me think a little bit. Such as The Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's by Stephen Chbosky or something. I'm not good with pronouncing names. I'm not sure if you've read it, but I know many, many people have read it, and I've talked to so many people about it that I have not heard one bad review on it. And I don't know, I cried at times in the book, and it really got me thinking, and it's got to be one of my all-time favorite books. So if you haven't read it, read it. Don't fall books. I'm also reading a book called The Dead Girls Dance, The Morganville Vampires Part 2. It's by Rachel Kane. It's a really good book. I've read the first one, and my friend, I told her about the first book to this series, and she is not a very big vampire person. Like, I tried to get her into Twilight. She hates it. But she was iffy about, like, wanting to read this book. But I got her to read the first book, and she fell in love with it. And I actually have to give her this one. I finished it. It's really good. So for the vampire stuff, it's my favorite something to read. I'm also reading Night World. It's a pretty hefty book. It's got 3 stories in it: Secret Vampire, Daughters of Darkness, and Spellbinder. It's got all kinds of supernatural stuff: vampires, ghosts, witches and stuff like that. There's all kinds of different stories, so it's not just one. And it's by L.J. Smith, I guess? All of them? Yeah. And there are actually 2 other books to the series. They're all quite big. So I haven't started on the second book, but I'm pretty excited. I'll be starting on that one soon. Another book that I had heard so many great reviews on is The Lovely Bones. The book's kind of beat up, but I've been reading it. This is probably the 2nd or 3rd time I've read this book, and it's still amazing. It's sort of like a mystery murder, like, for the family. Like, we know what happened, but the family doesn't, and it's like kind of emotional and everything. Alice the Bold is one of my favorite authors ever. I'm also reading one of her books called Lucky and The Almost Moon, and they're both amazing. I'm also reading Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz. This is probably the 2nd or 3rd time I'm reading this book also, because I lent it to a friend and she bought me the 2nd book to the series for Christmas. So I had completely forgotten what it was about, because I read lots of books. And it's another vampire kind of book. It's kind of different though, so I don't know, I really like the characters. I can relate to some of them. It's really, 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 really good. Oh, books are falling everywhere. No, stay. I'm also reading a book called Wicked. It's not the one with the musical. This is a completely different Wicked. It's got a spot on it. It's a huge book. And there's another book to the series, and it's about witchcraft. I am so in love with witchcraft. I'm not a witch or anything. I just find it so interesting. It's a really good book. At first I was kind of confused because it switches between all these different characters. But I kind of like that. I like being able to think and piece things together, so if you like that kind of book, then this would be it. And I am also reading Two Suns in the Sky. It's from my school library, and it's by Miriam Bat-Ami. I guess that's how you would say her name. But I'm doing this for a research project, and I did not think I was going to like this book, but I actually kind of like it. It's not that bad. It's not something I would usually read. But if you're into, you know, like, World War II and, like, the Holocaust and everything, this would probably be a book for you. So, not many people would probably read it. So, as you can see, I read many books, and I'm not even going to show you my room. My room is actually filled with books, strewn all over the floor, in this bin right here, on my bed, in the closet. I have a gigantic bin full of books, and I'm constantly also reading manga books, which are amazing. I go through those so quickly. I have like thousands of dollars worth of them. But I think I'm kind of making this video a little too long. It was only supposed to be a short response, so, yeah. I guess I'll talk to you on the comments on this video if you feel like it. Bye.